Is your wife like your mother? Does she have
Yeah.
the similar personality?
Well, not abusive, and physically abusive. Much better towards the kids. She's great with the kids.
But you say yes,
Um,
she is like your mother. In what way?
because conflict, just with me, constant conflict. She seeks out conflict.
How long you been married to her?
8 years.
And so, how do you deal with it when she's acting that way with you?
I don't know. I'm not. I mean, we battle all the time. It's very difficult. Like, we're not disrespectful to each other, and I think that that's probably, um, like with what with calling each other bad words and stuff like that. But she is capable of a level of disrespect with words that are not curse words that I'm just not. And every woman I've ever been with has really kind of been that way. They know how to cut,
Yeah.
right to the core.
And does that
And
hurt when they do that to you?
well, of course, and worse than that, like it is debilitating.
Yeah.
You come home and you hear the same, multiple different ways how you're not measuring up, as a man in the eyes of your wife. Like it definitely, takes a toll. With me, it just made me a lot angrier. I'm a lot angrier man than I was before I got married, for sure.
How many times you been married?
Well, the first marriage doesn't count. I don't count it because I got married because I was going to the Gulf War. And, she was my girlfriend. If, and the way the military works, if you're not married, like she gets none of your money. She can't, nothing can, there's no support.
Oh, okay.
So, I got married to her. She messed around the entire time I was gone. She even got into some prostitution and some drug addiction.
Wow.
And when I found out because my fellow soldiers, my buddies, they had wives, and their wives were calling them. We didn't have cell phones at the time. We're calling them on payphones, like tell Sergeant Morton, man, his wife is losing it. She's going off the deep end, and so as soon as I got back, I broke up with her.
And then you got married after that again?
Yeah, I got married. Well, I'm 45 now, so I got married like at what, 36, 37.
And that's the wife you're with now.
Yeah, that's the wife I'm with
Give
now.
me a couple examples of the type of words your wife used against on you that hurts.
Um, well, I mean, that I'm not a real man, that, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, those are the ones that probably hurt the worst. I can't think of all of them off the
Right.
top of my head. I think I'd have to write a book, but
And
those are the ones that hurt the most.
does she do this in front of your children or no?
Um, Not really, but there are times that she likes to, I want to say not involve them necessarily, but, um, make them a part of it,
Amazing.
somehow.
And so, why do you allow her to let them make the kids a part of it at all? Since you know it's so degrading and your children don't want to see that. When I come back, I want you to answer that for me right after
Okay.
this break. Troy, I asked just before the break, why do you allow her to do that to you in front of your children? Because not only is it traumatizing you even worse, it's also traumatizing them to see their father go through this.
Well, because I mean, first off, I argue back. But then the other thing I have to say in all honesty is that, earlier in our relationship, I was definitely the one doing that too. I have a very loud, deep voice and it carries. And, I would yell at her and, we would get into screaming matches back and forth, but I was definitely the louder one of the two,
Were
whenever
you
we had a conflict about something, whether the kids were around or not.
so you treated her in the way that she's treating you now?
We've softened a lot since then. I can't even remember the last time we had like a real screaming match, in front of the kids, but we do disagree in front of the kids, and I don't like that. I want to, if I'm having a conflict with somebody about something, like I want to resolve it, I want to move on. And that's just not her way of dealing with conflict. Her way of dealing with conflict is to keep it going on and on and on until she feels better.
Wow.
And sometimes that could be days. So,
So is it
that's just
like
kind of
you?
the way she is.
Is it like you're giving up, or you just don't care anymore?
You know what? I would say it's like both, but not necessarily on the marriage, even though that has been, discussed between us, but really more giving up on the idea that anything I could say or anything I could do could, resolve that feeling that she, has when she's upset about something. I don't think I can change the, I don't think I can change that aspect of our relationship now.
And so, how does it feel to give up like that?
Um, Sometimes it feels empowering because, you know,
Empowering how?
well, I mean, look, in life, you're always presented with problems that at sometimes are intractable. It's just the way it is. It's up to you whether or not you have the flexibility to pivot into something that can be more productive. I don't want to be a martyr dying on the hill of, constant criticism and ridicule. I don't want that at all. Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my own life. I love my children. I love my wife. At the end of the day, I'm gonna die with what I got.
Do you suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder?
When I grew up, that wasn't even a thing. Like, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
I mean, the only thing I know for sure is that, because of, the way I was put together, by, my mom and, my dad not being there and my childhood and my experiences and my adulthood, because of the way I was put together, um, you know, conflict is more likely in my life than not. And, in order for that to change, then I need to change myself from within and also change my environment, be in an environment that supports the kind of growth that I'm seeking. I mean, on some level that's part of the reason why I, wrote the letter.
Yeah, I can understand that now even more so. Let me ask. We're running out of time, but I have so many more things I want to ask. So I need what?
Well,
Give
I'm
me.
happy that you're having a good interview. I appreciate the time for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome. Give me an example of what can cause an argument with you and your wife.
Oh my gosh. Dude, it could be anything. I mean, it's the unpredictable nature that makes it difficult because, I mean, really, like it could just be, coming home and seeing something on the floor, or it can be something, you know, um, about money or something more significant than that. I mean, if there was a pattern, that would be easier for me to deal with. But,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, she came into our relationship with her set of circumstances, very difficult issues with her father as well. And,
Yeah, I
part of
can
the
tell
reason I
that she
think
hate
that,
men because she hate her father.
you know, I think that when a woman has a father who is absent, that's kind of almost easy to deal with than one who, kind of puts you down, makes you feel bad about yourself. Like, it's like I didn't have a father, so it's not like I'm missing the man. You know what I mean? Like there are things I wish I had learned, and it's kind of hard for me to say this because I think that all men can grow into a good fatherly role if they were committed. But with girls in particular, I can't say boys because I don't know that experience, but with girls in particular, I think that it's very, very difficult for them to separate what their father thinks and feels about them from what they want to get, from other men. So that feeling of not being worthy, you know, you try to bring that out in other men, even if it's not there.
So let me ask you, you said your wife called you a failure, you're not a man. She called you weak at times, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you see that you are weak at times?
I'm weaker now than I was, but I'm also angrier now than I was, and I get my strength, I get my the buck stops here kind of strength, from my anger.
Do you know that women hate weak men?
Yes,
Yeah. Hold on, let me
yes.
take a break. I'll come
Okay.
back and we'll wind this.
Okay.
Troy, you like that song?
It's something about James, man. I gotta tell you, it's something about James. And
So,
whenever I really want to, get my mind right, I put on some James and everything's okay after that.
so I need to ask you some quick questions. We
Yeah.
have two minutes left or so.
Okay.
Um, do your wife like Trump?
No. And look, especially like the reasons I like Trump. Like,
Right.
I like the fact that he's a strong man that doesn't take any crap from anybody.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever meet your father?
Yes, when I was 18.
And how did that go?
He said that, he stopped coming around because my mom asked him to, because she was dating my little brother's dad and she didn't want him around anymore. And I think that that's like the weakest piece of shit excuse I've heard, simply because I have a child by a woman who, is the most difficult woman I think I've ever met in my life, and who tried everything she could for as long as she could, to remove my daughter from my life. I spent tens of thousands of dollars, went all the way to the state Supreme Court to keep my daughter in my life, for the time that I had her. And, you know, all my mom had to tell him was walk away.
So it didn't. You guys didn't make up and become father and son.
No, I mean, I was 18 when I met him.
And
I
so,
mean,
how many times did you see him at 18?
I saw him off and on until I was maybe 25, 26, and then it just wasn't worth it.
You were never able to forgive him?
It wasn't really about forgiving him. It was about, like, I didn't know him, and I wasn't trying to have a dad, because I was already, I went in the military, I'd gone to war, I was working on my own. Like, I was focused on my own life. And, it just kind of naturally happened. It's not like we made a decision to stop talking. It just naturally happened.
Where is he now?
He lives in Virginia somewhere.
I'm going to have you back. I'm out of time right now, but
Okay.
you're a very interesting person.
Oh, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I'm going to have you back. Thank you for your honesty, all right?
All right. Have a good day, Jesse.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right, buddy.